Hey class, Prof JC here, and I'm excited about what we're going to do this week and next week. So this week I'm going to walk you through S.H.A.P.E, and I'll explain kind of what that is here in just a second. Some of you have probably done this before, you've heard about this before, so we'll walk through that today. And then next week, what we're going to do, I want what we're going to do the next 2 weeks to kind of build on each other. So the next week, what we're going to do is come back. I won't have a podcast next week, but I'm going to have a personality test for you to take, and then a few questions that I want you to think on. And here's the reason why. In the first part of this class, it's been really important for me to have us really talk about this idea of purpose and the things that keep us off of purpose and the things that will keep us away from purpose, the things that we need to do to make sure that we stay focused on purpose. That's been kind of important. The next half of the class, we're actually going to dive in and kind of take this in a few different directions, but I want us to have a general understanding about where we're going. Okay. And here's the reason why this is so important for me and for you really is I have found myself in recent months, there's a certain corporate training that I do for actually Cisco systems, and we do this training. I do it actually right here from my office, from my home office, but we've, Asia, Cisco Europe, and Cisco Americas, right? So this is the whole gamut, and over the last year and a half, I've been doing this class over and over and over again. And there's a part of this class, it talks about strategies for self-empowerment. And I applaud Cisco for offering this. And this is a multi-billion-dollar organization. I applaud them for offering this class to their employees, to their team members. But one of the things that I have found in recent weeks, and I don't know if it's because of maybe I'm teaching it different, or maybe I'm emphasizing something a little bit more, or maybe we're just having more dialogue. I'm not sure what it is, but I have found recently so many of the people on the calls. And again, these are people from Asia, and these are brilliant human beings. I mean, they work for Cisco, right? So people from Asia, people from the Americas, and people from Europe. And every single time we talk about this idea of purpose, at the end of the class, I'll offer my email address and I'll say, hey, if there's anything that you want to talk about, or if there's anything that we can touch base on, here's my email address. And I have consistently gotten emails on, hey, can you talk more about purpose? Can you send more resources when it comes to purpose? Because people from across the world, in there, and most of these people are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, are still struggling to find purpose. And these are people that all of us would look at and say that they're successful. They've got very cool jobs, very good jobs at a company like Cisco. Obviously Cisco, if you read in the news, they're going through some hard times now. They've got some layoffs happening. All of tech is kind of going through that right now. That's been kind of sad to see. But these people have made it. On the outside, you and I would look at them and say that this is a person who's made it. And yet there are people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who still are not sure what their purpose is. And so that's why when we dive into this kind of stuff, I think it's so important, because as you go out there, with your business degree, with your leadership degree, it's really important that you stay focused on the direction you're going. My hope for you is that when you get your 30s, 40s, 50s, some of you are already there, that you have a clear picture about where you're going. And it's this kind of stuff that we're talking about here that's going to make the difference. So here's what I want to talk about this week. Okay. We've talked a little bit about Rick Warren and his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, how it starts off. It's not about you. I love that first sentence there. And I think that's the reason why that book has been so important in our culture, especially 20, 25 years ago when it first came out. It took the world by storm, In this book, Rick Warren, who's the author of the book, and he's the founding senior pastor at a church called Saddleback Church up in Orange County. I think it's one of the greatest churches in the world. I think my church is the greatest church in the world. I go to the Immaculata here in San Diego, but I think second to that, Saddleback Church is probably the greatest church in the world. And it's because it was led for 43 years by an incredible human being. And so here's what he talks about. Okay. He has this idea called SHAPE. And if you go through it, and that's what I'm going to do here, just briefly here over the next few minutes, SHAPE is an acronym, right? And it's, as this would say, it's a framework designed to help individuals discover their unique purpose and place in life, especially within the context of faith and Christian service. Okay, so that resonates for some of us here. But even if you're a person who would say, I'm not necessarily faith-based or Christian, I'm not a practicing Christian, this can still work for you. And definitely what we're going to do next week can still work for you. But the two are going to build on each other. Okay, so I'm not trying to force Christianity or faith on anyone in the class. And I want to make that clear. But we're just going to come through this framework this week, and next week you'll see kind of how this builds and how next week's assignment is going to build on this week's assignment. Next week is week 8, so we're at the midterm halfway, and so that's what this is going to be. Is I want you to reflect on some of this next week using some of what we're going to talk about this week as well. So SHAPE, the framework here, is used to explore personal gifts, talents, and experiences that shape one's calling. I love that word calling. Absolutely love it. And that's my hope for you, is that as you exit this program, that you are pursuing your call, not just a job, okay? That you can really figure out, this is what I'm designed to do, this is what I'm called to do, and that you use business or you use the organization, whatever it is, to achieve that call. And you can have a calling in life and still make multi-millions of dollars. Okay. You can still make an impact and still make lots of money. So for those of you who are in the class and you say, I'm a business person, I didn't come here to go to ministry. I came here because, I want to make money and I want to produce business. You can do that. Right. As a matter of fact, I would say it's important to have this down, to have this, for you and for your organization, if you want to make a global impact or a regional impact or whatever it is that you decide you want to do. Okay. So let's dive in here. SHAPE. So that's S.H.A.P.E. S.H.A.P.E. Okay. And so what Rick Warren does is he creates an acronym out of each of those letters. And here's what he talks about. So S stands for spiritual gifts. Okay. These are the special abilities that God has given to every believer. So if you find yourself a believer, you find yourself of the Christian faith, and you would have spiritual gifts. Spiritual gifts include things like teaching or leadership, service, encouragement, mercy, more, right? And again, if you were to take the SHAPE assessment, which we're not going to do, but if you were to take that, it would help point out what leadership what spiritual gifts that you do have. Okay. The idea is to identify what gifts one has received and how they can use them for, watch this, for the benefit of other people. None of this is about ourselves. And I think that's the biggest key that I want us to take away. None of this it's not about you. It's not about me. Okay. So that's number 1, S, spiritual gifts. Number 2, H, heart. That this refers to a person's passion and interest. Now, I want you to remember this, because this is going to come into place next week. Again, what we're going to do next week is going to build on this week. So I want you to remember this one. H refers to a person's passion and interest, what excites and motivates them. The heart represents the things that you care about most deeply, such as a particular cause, types of people, or activities that bring fulfillment and joy. Okay. So this is kind of where your passion is. I am passionate about workplace culture and about leadership. And there's a whole story behind that. We don't have time to go into that, but this is what gives me the greatest joy in life. This is what I feel I'm meant to do every single day when I get up, is to keep pushing the ball forward when it comes to workplace culture, especially in this incoming world of AI, which I think is going to be a little bit different than what they keep trying to tell us it's going to be. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that would be my passion. That's what gets me out of bed every day. Or bed every morning, every night. That's what keeps me up at night, but it's what gets me out of the bed every single morning. What's that thing for you? What's that thing for you? A, S-H-A, stands for abilities. These are the natural talents or skills that someone has, whether they are musical, athletic, intellectual, or practical. Okay. It focuses on the strengths one possesses that can be applied in various settings, such as problem solving, craftsmanship, and organizational skills. Some of us are just gifted in different ways. Okay. Because some of us have different abilities in different ways. All of these are clues as to what we should be doing with our life, right? If you're a person who, uh, and I've seen this before, people who lack organizational skills, maybe they're more creative, they're more innovative, right? But they find themselves in kind of a leadership or manager role where you've got to have the organizational skills, but they would actually be thriving a lot more if they were out doing something creative and innovative and creating products and innovating on products and services and all this kind of stuff. They would actually, I've seen this time and time again where people find themselves over here, but really where their gift is over here. And they find themselves over here. Why? Because they're trying to impress their dad. They're trying to impress their friends still. Okay. But abilities, part of that is just understanding what our abilities are, admitting what those abilities are, owning those abilities, and then staying within those abilities. P stands for personality. This aspect considers how personality traits influence the way one interacts with others and their environment, right? So this goes into introversion and extroversion. Structured, are you a structured person? Are you a flexible person? And other personality dimensions can help determine where someone might thrive the most. Now, we're going to get into a lot of that next week as well, okay? But we're going to talk about it some, and you're going to talk about it in your writing this week as well, but we're going to actually touch base on this a lot next week as well. Okay. And then E stands for experiences, life experiences, including family background, education, career, and significant life events, shape a person's perspective and wisdom. It's about using the lessons learned from from one's unique journey, whether successes or challenges, to help others and fulfill one's purpose. Okay, so that's SHAPE right there, S.H.A.P.E. The SHAPE model is designed, or the SHAPE framework, however you want to put it, is designed to help people find a way to serve that is meaningful to them and aligns with how they are uniquely created. And that's what I believe. I think we're all uniquely created to do things here on planet Earth, again, for the benefit of other people. Okay. It emphasizes self-awareness and leveraging one's strengths and experiences to make a positive impact in their community, business, or in the world. Okay. So here's what I want us to do this week. Okay. I want you to just go back and write, what does SHAPE mean? Okay. So I just told you what it is. So what does the acronym mean? What does each of those letters mean? And then I just want you to just bullet points underneath it. What do you think is yours? Okay. So I'll give you an example. The S stands for spiritual gifts. Okay. Now, if you're not a person who is faith-based, that's okay. You can still do this. Okay. So another way to say this might be, these are the things that just you can do without very little problems. Okay. That's what that means. If you're a person that's not faith-based, you say, I don't want to talk about, spiritual gifts, and that's just weird to me. What that really means is these are the things that you can do with your hands tied behind your back. If someone asks you to do this thing within, hey, I need you to do this, X, Y, Z, whatever that thing is, you know what it is for you. And you could do it within 5 minutes with very little preparation. This would be a spiritual gift for you. Okay. And I'm just trying to think of what those could be. Now later on, there's an A, and it talks about abilities. I'm kind of giving you some answers here. It talks about abilities, right, as natural skills. But the difference that Rick Warren would say between the two are the spiritual gifts are the things that God gives to you, right? So these are just innate in who you are. The abilities, these are the things that you can grow in over time, right? These are the abilities that over time with work, you can get better at these, but you still find yourself, you're interested in this and it's something you can do. Again, if it's musical or athletic or intellectual or practical, you might find that there's some natural abilities in there, but it's not necessarily something that you're going to be doing. It's not necessarily, something that you're going to be doing 24/7. And it may not be the thing that comes naturally to you. Okay. So again, when it talks about the S, the spiritual gifts, that's the thing that's just given to you naturally. So what is that thing? Okay. And so I just want you to bullet point that thing is, and then you go to the H. And what's H? Okay. So you just define what H is, and then you bullet point out what might that be for you. You go to the A, and you define what the A is, and you bullet point out what those things might be for you. You go to the P, and then you define that. Or see, I'm giving you the answers here, but this is the thing I'm talking about. Go through all of these right here. Okay. And that's going to be your assignment for these. So just define those letters, S.H.A.P.E, what do those mean? You can look this up. This is all over the internet, so you can find this, define it, okay? And then I want you to write out what those, just two to three bullet points for each. What might those be for you, okay? And then it just, so do all of that, and then a reflection, kind of a question there at the bottom. Does anything about this surprise you? Okay. Is there anything as you're writing, right? Does that surprise you? Okay. So I just want you to think about that. And the next week when we come back, again, not a podcast next week, but we're going to build off of this. But I think all of this that we're going to talk about right here, if you're a person out there and you say, I'm not exactly quite sure what my purpose is just yet, this can help you get there. I promise you it can. Okay. So again, you've got your marching orders for this week, and I'm looking forward to reading what you have to share. And I'm excited to see how it builds even next week. As we kind of wrap up kind of the individual purpose. And then the next 8 weeks, we'll kind of take all the stuff that we've learned in the first 8 weeks and we'll start applying them to all kinds of different things. Okay. So I'm looking forward to that. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you in the next podcast. Take care.